Hi everyone, and welcome along to this next in the series of the One Accounting webinars with me, Julie Diver from 39 Steps. Today's webinar is about design briefs, 7 key things that your designer wants to know and making sure that your design briefs aren't pants. Big thanks to One Accounting for giving me the opportunity to do this. The sun's split in the sky here in Morningside where our studio is, and I believe today is exam results day, so if you're awaiting exam results in your place, then I hope there's whoops of joy in your house. A bit about 39 Steps. Well, we were established in 2003 and we are based in Morningside, as I said, and we've got a variety of clients across the UK in sectors such as technology, professional services, food and drink and the third sector. And there's a wee picture of me so you've got some idea of what I look like, which through this webinar. A bit about what we do. We design brands that reflects the client's values, and we apply the brand and design marketing to give material that clients are really proud to give out to their client base, and we design and build effective websites that clients can update easily. And it's kind of a bit of a summary, running the business of making your business look good. It's a bit about us. So today I want to talk about the design briefs and making sure yours aren't pants, the 7 key things that your designer needs to know. These are key fundamental things that when you're giving a design brief to an existing designer that you're working with or somebody that you're going to be newly partnering up with, these are 7 key things that they'll need to know. I'll give you a format to follow and a couple of do's and don'ts of dealing with designers. So, firstly, when you're talking to design team, you want to identify the challenge. So a good place to start when thinking about what sort of designer you need is to look at the size and the nature of the challenge which is facing you in the business and develop the brief towards that. So all designers will want to start from a similar starting point and they need some information in the background to your business and to the nature of the project, as well as what you're going to need from them. The brief represents a starting point for communication and discussion, as well as a tool for using, a tool for using in order for you to then find the design team that you want to work with. If you just give me 2 seconds, I'll just come back to where we're supposed to be. Thank you. So just to recap, clarifies your project requirement, represents a starting point for the discussion, and it's your tool in searching for and selecting the right designer. So your first point is to introduce yourself, which sounds a little bit obvious, but the number of design briefs that we've been sent through, which actually doesn't give you all the facts about the business, is quite staggering. So who are you and what do you do, where have you been doing it, and how long have you been doing it for? These are key parts that we'll need to know. You could add a link to your website, for goodness sake. Excuse me. A link to your website, and you want to outline any further information that a design team would need, such as your mission statement, your vision, and where are we? Mission, vision, and your mission statement. Things about like your ethics as well as a organisation. What are the ethics of the business, the brand values? These are also key things that you want to know. Set out your market stall. Now this is all to do with your market background. You want to describe the market that you are, the current prevailing conditions, and what you need to do within that market. Have you got any market research to back it up and to support your project? And you know, the marketplace people tend to think about in terms of target market, some people seem to think that it's going to be anybody and everyone, and it just isn't. Is your target market the old granny who's sitting in the bus, or is it a youngster sitting in a classroom? Is it a professional in a technology park within Livingston or something? So it can never ever be anyone, and so you want to tighten up on what that is, describe what your marketplace is. And who is the competition? What's the competition in your market? What does it look like? Can you list the websites that the designers can go to get a better feel of the overall landscape of the market you're describing? There always is competition, whether that's direct or indirect. It's always good to be able to see who these people are. So your next element is to look at outline of the project. Now, number 3. So you want to describe in detail, as much as you can, what the project is all about. Is it a brochure? Is it a website? That kind of thing. How is the project being made? What is it designed to do? Where does it fit in with the other initiatives within the business? And does it have to work with any of them? You want to detail out the project objectives that are available, particularly with respect to the business impact and what the project needs to do for the business or the organisation. And ultimately, you might want to think about the skill set that you think you need for that. This is where you would detail things like something specific, maybe about technical stuff, about a website that you know you need to redo, or it could just be that you're looking for a little bit of advice as to formats of what the brochure is going to be, or you know that your brand really could do with an overhaul. You're not entirely sure where to start, but you're looking for advice on that. You can be specific about what you need, or you can leave the brief deliberately open for the designers to challenge at a meeting, which can be quite fruitful for both parties. And if you are unclear about exactly what form the services will take, do seek advice, because then you can make sure you've got the right type of designer for the job. Something that clients tend to sort of think is not that relevant, but which is really crucial for designers, is to know what's happened to date. You want to detail any work that you have already been done. Perhaps it's a project that you started and for whatever reason it's not kind of working out with the current people, or it might have been something that you started a couple of years ago. It's not been completed and finished because people have moved on within your own organisation. Or it could be just another element that's to be added into your marketing strategy and you've not quite started yet. It's good to know where you are to date. And you want to outline how it fits in with the wider strategy. Have you even got a marketing strategy? If not, then your designers can probably help with part of that. And how will you deem the project a success? What's the measurements and outcomes for this project? You might want to add a section in that communicates what you feel the deliverables are for your business, and this could correspond with what you need the project to do for the business or organisation. This paragraph could be a bit more detailed about regards to how effective you think the project needs to be, and you could be specific about targets or statistics, or just in general in terms of goals. They could be related to a business plan or a business case for a project. For example, we're working on a website at the moment for a charity, who they've outlined the fact that they need to overhaul and redevelop this website with regards to increasing the level of donations. So that's a major target goal for us to make sure that anything that we're doing for them with their new website is geared towards that particular strategy, and they'll deem that project a success if there is an increase in donations at a certain level. Number 5. You want to state some key facts. Now, these key facts could be things like budget. Is there a budget? Have you thought about a budget for your particular piece of work? There's always a debate as to whether you should communicate a budget for a project or not, and this is kind of entirely up to you. The budget may not be known from your end at this point, and you're looking for a response that helps you to formulate it. But if you do have it, it's quite useful for a design team to know what it is. And the reason for that would be that if you say that you have, say, pulling figures out of the air, £5,000 for redoing a website project, then the designers know kind of what level you're at and what kind of approach that they can take in order to achieve that within the budget that you stated. And it also helps to work out whether it's going to be something that they can resource for you, or whether they'll have to respectfully bow out of the process. So it can save a lot of time and effort if you can think about what your budget is for a particular piece. And you know, be upfront also if you don't really know how much you should be budgeting for something. It's just good to actually just state the position with regards to budget to a design team. Time frame. What is the time frame that you're in? If you've got a time frame, then do communicate it, as this may be in the form of a project plan, or it could just be a list of dates that you need to hit. Whatever it is, you know, if there's key deadlines in there, do let your design team know. Because it also helps them to ascertain whether it's something that they'll be able to help you with, or whether it won't fit into their current workload, etc. So some key facts there that is good to know. Design briefs. Key element number 6 is to outline the process. What is the approval process that you're going to go through with them choosing a design team or deciding on the project approach that the design team are putting forward? On longer or more complicated projects, for instance, like websites, which can take a long time from start to finish, there might be an approval process that allows a project to move from stage to stage. So communicating what this process is and who's involved and how long you'll need to get each stage signed off, that will allow the designers to plan for working out how long each stage may take. And that's really important, obviously, when you're running through holiday periods such as now, like in the summer. Right. You want to let people know who the decision maker is. Is it yourself? Is it somebody else within your marketing team? Do you have to take approval to the board, and does that take time? Are there key dates within when your board meetings happen that will have to be factored into a design team putting together a response to your brief? What do you expect by way back of response? Is it just a statement of fees? Could it be a set of credentials? Is it that you expect people to come in and do a short presentation? What would you like back in response to your brief? And when do you need them to come back to you by? If you give them a bit of a time frame just coming back to you with response, not to do with the project itself, but just coming back to you so that you can make a decision as to which team you're going to go with, then that's really useful too. And something that people tend to kind of forget is about giving them supporting information. Talking about constraints, for instance. Are there any constraints to be considered? And this could be, there's design or brand guidelines that will need to be worked into the project. You need to confirm this, and also how the designers will get access to a copy of the relevant guidelines. There may be other constraints for the project, such as maybe it's time or location, as well as access to key individuals or audiences. Perhaps there's a focus group type thing that needs to be factored in there, and that might take time to put together. It's best to identify that up front and allow the plan to be developed around whatever the constraints are, rather than dropping them in at the contract stage and having to rework the entire project, which would just cause hassle and time and money. So kind of think about the constraints and let the team know. Appendices. Have you got appendices that you can send to the design team? This might be simple as PDFs of things that you've done in the past. It could be business plan or a marketing strategy summary that would be useful for a team to look at and consider. And it's also worth knowing that if you're working with a team, an existing team anyway, all these points would be still relevant to them, even though you might have partnered with them for a while. It's good for them to see other bits and pieces that you're doing and see how their work can actually fit into your wider strategy. So any supporting information like that is always useful. And it might be that you can set up online access to these guidelines and other project-related materials. So, let your designers and people know how they can access that online, send them a link and things. And also, fundamentally, who should the designer contact for info? Because it might not be yourself who's put the brief together, that you might not be the key person that you want to be the go-between between the people responding back. And if it's not that, then let them know who the best person is for that kind of stuff. So, in summary, a good design brief, it will help to clarify your project requirements, and it helps you to actually get some clarity on what it is that you're looking for, even though you're expecting some consultancy back. It represents a starting point for discussion, and this is really good because, excuse me, a good design brief will, when sent out to a group of designers, will actually kind of filter out the people that are going to be interested in your brief, and also for you to then ascertain which teams it will not actually fit. You'll have people then respectfully decline on various points, which is absolutely fine. It saves you time, and because this good design brief will then encourage the people who are interested to pick up the phone and actually find out a little bit more, perhaps organising a meeting with yourself if that is actually deemed necessary. Some do's and some don'ts when dealing with designers. I've put these in here as well because over the past week it's been really interesting. We've had 2 briefs from 2 different places, which kind of led me to thinking that a session on this might be quite useful. And that is, some do's would be to get recommendations. Business tends to work on recommendation and referral, so it makes sense to get some recommendations. I mean, obviously go onto Google if that's the way you want to do it, but recommendations from fellow business owners and things is always really, really useful. Obviously check out their folios. Do you like what they do online? Have you seen different things that they've done for other people, maybe perhaps in the same sector or the same size business as you, and think that they could do a similar job to yourself? As an example for 39 Steps, we seem to have a few clients in the funeral industry, which is not a traditional sector you think would require a lot by way of marketing and branding help. But we managed to secure one client in that, and that led to a lot more clients who liked what we'd done for the original client. And because there's no conflict of interest, that's really helped us to understand that particular sector, and the clients within that sector are really happy with what we're doing with them, so long may that continue. So find a designer who's been doing something within your arena that can give you an indication as to whether they might be able to help you with yours. If you have an existing relationship with a design team or freelancer, do let them know if you're planning to look elsewhere or to get some further thoughts from other people. It's only respectful, and it might be that you then get them to pull their socks up, or maybe the relationship has then kind of fizzled out and they're no longer going to be partnering with you. But it's a good idea to let them know so there's no bad feeling, and also if they have existing files that you'd really quite like a hold of, it's be useful to get a hold of them with a good relationship with the outgoing team. Some don'ts. Please don't buy solely on the price. A lot of it's relationship building and whether you can work with a person. A design team could be looked upon as a partner rather than a supplier, and lots of professions like to think of themselves that way. Design is no different. They do like to be able to show that they can add value rather than it just being on price. So design isn't a commodity. I mean, designers typically charge for time and for their creativity. So please don't think solely on price. Obviously, it's a massive factor, but not the only factor. A bit of a bugbear of mine, and one that the Design Business Association actively ask prospects not to request, and that's for speculative work. And speculative work is basically designing something before you've even won the job, or designing a portion of it for free, which is just a no-go really, because not only does the client not quite get what they're needing, there's a lot of work then done from the design point of view that's not quite hitting the mark. And the reason that is because there's not an existing relationship there. So how can a design team possibly understand what a client needs if they're not actually looking to work with them? So please don't ask for speculative work, as refusal often offends. And lastly, don't think your designer's a mind reader. All design is a bit of a collaborative process. Once you are ensconced with the design team and you've got a really good relationship going, they can often preempt certain plans of attack for different projects that you have, whether that's kind of rebranding or putting together new marketing material and inserts, leaflets, case studies and the like. It can really work and exceed expectations, but do give them as much information as possible to begin with, because you know your business best, and their job really is to take that and put it into material that's really going to help you win over new business and new clients in the sectors that you actually want. So people. So that's kind of my quick webinar for this morning. I hope you've got something out of it there. If you've got a query, please do let me know, or you can type it into the little message bit. And meantime, I'm happy to email out a template for your design briefs that just outlines the kind of key points I've talked about there in the 7 headings. And you're welcome to email me if you would like a copy of that, and I'll send it over to you. Thanks very much.